This is the second chapter in Lesson 8, and it talks about financial mix. And basically what we're going to wrap around is this break-even analysis and how we can use that looking at the financial mix for a company. Along the way, when you read Chapter 12, you're also going to look at the difference between business risk and financial risk, the break-even, looking at operating leverage, financial leverage, and combining the two to come up with the best mix or the best um, capital structure. Okay, finding the optimal capital structure through looking at leverage, operating, financial, and you're going to look at concepts of agency cost, which is playing, in essence, bondholders and shareholders. How do you keep them both satisfied? Because there's an agency issue there. What satisfies a lender sometimes does not satisfy or return well for the shareholder, as well as what returns well for the shareholder does not return well for the lender or the holder of those bonds. So there's got a balance that you have to find there, and we'll look at that throughout throughout that chapter. Finally, we'll look at some basic tools that capital structure management can use. Some of them we've already looked at when you look at ratios that we did back in chapter 4, 3 or 4, I believe. So that's kind of what this chapter wraps around. Main thing is it's looking at risk. Okay, and there are three types of risk. You've got business risk, you have operating risk, and you have financial risk. Um, as you look at some of this, there's not a whole lot that a business or CEO personnel have over business risk, operating risk. Because as you'll see as we go down through here, operating risk looks at the mix of products and what the industry uses, where financial risk, the officers of the company have a direct say or a direct way of determining what the financial risk is. So let's look at business risk, and you'll kind of see what I mean. You have the stability of the domestic economy that plays into it. You've got exposure to and stability of foreign economies, and if you look at the world today, you find that foreign companies or economies are in disarray. Think China, or many other economies, especially if they're wrapped around oil. Even our economy becomes entangled in that, and you've seen the ups and downs of our economy. The sensitivity to the business cycle. You know, where did you start your company in the business cycle? Not only in a macro sense, but a micro sense. Where are you in that cycle? And then there's competitive pressures from other firms and from inside of the industry. All of these are very difficult for a manager to control in a business. So these factors are kind of a wild card out there for you. Other factors is they're looking at operating risk, and operating risk looks at the mix between fixed and variable operating costs. It comes down to the break even, and it comes down to the contribution margin of your product to the profitability of your company. And you'll find that firms who have a really high amount of fixed operating costs are very vulnerable to the changes in the revenue at the top. And we'll kind of go through that and walk through it. We'll also look at break-even point and how that affects the ability of a company to control its operating risk. And we finally have financial risk, and this is the one area where the managers of the company can determine, okay, how much financial risk are we going to have? Are we going to be fully leveraged through bonds? Are we going to use internal funds to finance some of our projects are we going to use equity? Are we going to increase our equity with shareholders? So that's kind of the overview of Chapter 12. There's a lot to learn in this chapter. There's a lot to think about in this chapter. And it gives you tools if you're going to be a manager in a company to be able to control the things that you can control and understand the things that you can't, and to be aware of what's going on in those areas. So off to break even, okay?